Namaskar. Very warm welcome to all the viewers in this very special live interaction of CIET-NCERT. I am Renu Bhatt with you all, and you are watching us live on PM Vidya channels from channel number 6 to 12. And apart from all these channels, you are with us on our YouTube channels as well, that is NCERT Official and NCERT PM Vidya class number 6 to 12. And dear viewers, as you know, this is our 5 days online series on empowering teachers with artificial intelligence phase 2nd, and this series is being organized by AI Cell CIET-NCERT. And today we are on the last day of this session, and we have learned a lot about AI tools and AI usages, and we have learned about tools for developing audio resources and for teaching assistant how and why it's important to secure your devices and many more things. And today we are going to discuss about AI for teachers from the UNESCO Global Framework to enhance students' engagement. And we have joined by our eminent experts. So without any further delay, let's quickly meet them. You are Mr. Jian Xi Teng. You are Program Specialist Education from UNESCO Regional Office for South Asia. Very warm welcome, sir. स्वागत है आपका.
Thank you so much, Renu Ji. It's an absolute pleasure to be here at the invitation of AI Cell NCERT. Very much appreciate the opportunity to introduce the UNESCO Global Frameworks, competency frameworks for teachers and for students. And I hope all of you have had a wonderful 4 days listening to the series on AI for teachers. So, let me just briefly introduce UNESCO. So UNESCO stands for the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization. We are a specialized agency dedicated to strengthening our shared humanity through the promotion of education, science, culture and communication. The photo that you see on the screen is actually our office in New Delhi in Chanakyapuri, and we very much hope some of you may have the opportunity to visit in the future.
So in a short while we'll definitely know more about this session, but let me welcome our another guest as well. You are Dr. Sangeeta Pethiya. You are Assistant Professor, History from DESSH from Regional Institute of Education, Bhopal, NCERT. Very warm welcome, ma'am. स्वागत है आपका.
Namaskar. Namaskar.
Namaste.
Thank you AI Cell CIET-NCERT for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Pleasure is all ours. And before we begin this particular session, let me share some certain information to all our viewers. We want you to participate in this series and as well as in this live interaction in huge numbers with all your queries and doubts. You can call us on our telephone number, that is 8800-440-559. Either you can drop a mail as well with all your feedbacks. Our email address is aicell@ciet.nic.in. And if you have joined us through our live streaming, then you have to go to the live chat box and then only you can drop your comment out there. So we are waiting for your participation in this live interaction. So let's quickly start this session. And sir, here we want you to explain us and tell us more about the UNESCO AI framework, sir. Please.
Thank you very much, Renu Ji. So let me just dive in. You should be seeing the slide on UNESCO's vision of digital learning. And it's very important when we're talking about AI to know a little bit more about UNESCO's vision for how AI can be useful in your teaching and learning. So UNESCO's approach to using technology for education is very much human-centered. So what does that mean? That means that we do not look at technology as the only solution for the challenges and as well as the opportunities we face in education, but that technology should be used to expand human capabilities. It should uphold human dignity and should respect the agency that you as teachers, as the change makers and molding the young minds of Indian next generation, respecting your agency and choice for guiding the learners on their learning journey. So just jumping straight into AI, what makes AI different compared to the technologies that have come before? some of you may already be aware that AI doesn't just happen from a blank slate magically. It's depending on huge amounts of data, predictions that come from data, that come from algorithms that identify patterns, leading to the production of outputs, the things that you see in the generative AI tools that seem to mimic human behavior, seem very certain, seem to offer authentic answer, and create new content in text, audio, video, and other images. But there are some concerns coming from AI, which is that how these outputs are generated is often very opaque. Opaque means we're not clear how actually the algorithm or the tool takes the data and your inputs and has come up with the output. We don't know the logical chain of reasoning. The other thing is that in recent years, AI has become so easy to use. Even all of us in this room today, all of you viewers surely have encountered or been part of AI influencing our lives. So there is a risk that these AI systems that carry bias, hidden biases that may be prone to errors, risk unfair learning outcomes for the learners and may reduce human interaction in the teaching learning process, which is so important. So what makes AI different and what UNESCO's perspective is that teachers must remain at the core of the teaching and learning process, and that students must be guided with empathy, creativity, and with the role of human judgment in the classroom. So given these concerns, we have the research question that came up globally at UNESCO. What are the knowledges, skills, attitudes, and values that teachers and teacher educators need to respond proactively to increasingly AI-mediated education systems? And so we have found certain views and tried to find out what are teachers' views of AI, particularly in recent years. And we know that firstly, the easy use of AI sees increasing student use regardless of what teachers are doing or even what schools' activities have or regulations have taken. So it's very much in our daily lives. AI is the highest reported learning need of teachers. Almost 29% of teachers globally have responded to say that's their highest learning needs. But at the same time, 3 in 4 teachers say they do not have the skills or knowledge to teach using AI. And half say AI should not be used in teaching. And most importantly, I would say 1 in 3 teachers report being overwhelmed by the shift to new technologies, particularly AI technologies. So where does that lead us? We have to also understand that apart from their views on AI, teachers traditionally for a long time have faced different structural challenges, from a lack of skills and continuing training, high stress environments, general teacher shortages, and a lack of teacher support systems. And this is what UNESCO has found through high-level panels on teaching profession, reports on the global framework of professional teaching standards that we have produced recently. And all of that has led to our creation and development with all of the help globally from global experts of the UNESCO Global AI Competency Frameworks for teachers and for students. And you can see that on the screen now. I've also even added the QR codes on the left and right for you to quickly access them. And briefly, there are 3 guiding principles that have guided us in developing these competency frameworks. 1 is to center teachers' rights, autonomy, and agency in this work. The second is that the transformative teaching that all of you do every day in the classroom is guided by ethical lens and the values of digital citizenship as you explore and use AI. And lastly, that these frameworks actually support teacher education policy and practices on AI. So these were the three guiding principles. It's very important for you to take a look at the structure of the AI competency frameworks. So the one I'm focusing on today on behalf of UNESCO, representing UNESCO, is the AI competency framework for teachers. And this comprises, in the leftmost column, you can see, it's 5 teacher competencies from human-centered mindset, ethics of AI, AI foundations and applications, AI pedagogy, and then AI for professional development. And in the columns to the right on your screen, you can see that there are 3 progression levels. So to start with, the framework encourages teachers to acquire these basic teacher competencies, and then at the second level to deepen your teacher competencies, and then lastly at the most advanced level to create using the various competencies you've acquired. For example, creating tools that support your daily teaching and learning in the classroom, or using AI to support communities of practice, communicating and engaging with your fellow teachers for professional transformation. These are just some examples. It's important to understand that with generative AI, we may think that it's easy to create, right? You can jump to the creation without really progressing through the acquisition of basic knowledge and deepening your knowledge and skills. But a little learning is a dangerous thing, as you may have heard before. And it's important that that the AI competency framework is seen as a direction and map for the most recommended and best practices that a global suite of experts have come together and developed. So when you try to create, for example, AI tools and applications, if we do not understand what are the risks and potential biases or errors that may come in place, which you need to learn over time at the basic level, then we risk mindlessly or uncritically using AI, and that may have serious implications, especially in the important area of teaching. So moving on, I want to also share how the framework can be useful for you. So what is most important about the framework is that it was developed to be progressive, to be structured, and to break down each competency and level with keywords to help you search for learning opportunities as you explore and use AI. So there are 4 elements to the framework, and I'll show you that in the next slide, but I just want to mention here. We ensure that we define the teacher competency. There is then a section that sets the curricular goals and then suggests several learning objectives. And lastly, gives examples of contextual activities. And this is visualized in the next slide. If you can see, the next slide shows how the table actually looks like when you look at the document, when you download the document and you read our AI competency framework for teachers. So from your left, the teacher framework, this is on ethics of AI, explains a basic ethical principle, then it sets out some curricular goals, and then a learning objective or some learning objectives, and then some activities that you as a teacher can carry out to demonstrate that you have a following attitude or behavioral change. Another example that I'm quickly showing here on the screen, which is a lot of text, but I just want to show you how it looks like, is how can AI be used for professional development at the create level. So this is the highest progression level. And Here, teachers are expected to customize and modify AI tools to enhance their professional development and to test and validate strategies on the effective use of AI to meet your own or your community's professional needs. And then there are some curricular goals and learning objectives. What's very useful from our perspective, and that we heard in the development process from the public consultations globally, is that teachers need examples practically of how these competencies can actually look like in real life. So the last row that you see below, contextual activities, is how we try to respond to this need. So for example, at the highest level, the human AI hybrid coach could act as a mentor or agent when you want to develop your AI skills. And this is basically looking at, let's say, a chatbot or an agent that you create on any of the many generative AI platforms to have a tool or a entity, an agent that you can talk to ask questions on how to, let's say, assess your progress so far, to diagnose some problems, to offer some ideas, or to practice your skills and receive feedback. So this is, for example, how we see the highest level of the competency framework. So just to end my short presentation before I hand over to Dr. Sangeeta, is that the purpose of education should be what guides our professional development as teachers. And the purpose of education is to cultivate learners who have the opportunities to contribute to a fair, just, inclusive society, bearing in mind that teachers are the facilitators and mentors at the center of this process, and that we should try to use AI where it is appropriate, not thoughtlessly, not uncritically, and only then can we all be AI capable teachers or teacher educators that understand how it can be best used in the context, in your particular context, whether or not it's urban or rural, north or south, or west or central, northeast India, and that ultimately the purpose of this development of the AI competency framework for teachers is to act as a map, is to give you some direction in case you as a teacher are confused about how to proceed, or even some ideas. And it's also aspirational. We all hope that when we start at the basic level that we can progress and deepen and then becoming advanced users. But it's very much a map and a guide that we hope can be useful and is useful for teachers all over India. And one more thing before I end is that as I hand over to Dr. Sangeeta, is to try to spot in her presentation which aspects of the AI competencies you see as Dr. Sangeeta presents her presentation, because we believe that we have tried to cover as many of the AI competencies that have been set out in our framework. So with that, thank you very much. Dhanyavad, bahut dhanyavad, and thank you very much.
बहुत धन्यवाद sir. Thank you so very much for all this very informative informations. I would rather say it's very insightful. And Sangeeta ma'am, we want you to continue with your presentation, ma'am. How AI?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Please continue.
Thank you, Jian, for that wonderful insight into the UNESCO framework of AI to be incorporated in the learning teaching process. Can we move on to the next slide? I would take it further as an exemplar as to how AI-driven classes can engage students and also make learning more joyous, bringing in 21st century skills in the classes, also digital citizenship and digital literacy as NEP 2020 advocates. So picking up from where Jian said, though sir has covered almost all the aspects of what AI has to offer to the teachers and students along with ethics of using AI, I would like to reiterate that yes, there is a lot of inhibition in the minds of the teachers as far as using AI is concerned. Can we have the next slide? I would like to begin my discussion by saying that there is a very beautiful synergy, or there has to be a very beautiful synergy for effective teaching, wherein tech content comes at the core of the teaching learning process. Content, pedagogy and technology interaction can create that tech enhanced instruction. So what are the opportunities that AI presents to the teachers in the learning teaching process? Can we have the previous slide, please? So first of all, teachers will continue to be at the center, human of the teaching learning process. There can be no replacement. It is the passion of the teacher to integrate AI in the teaching learning process. So teachers with good command over the subject will be beautifully able to devise pedagogies first and then bring in how these pedagogies can be assisted with the help of AI. So what are the opportunities, the previous one, that the teachers have in integrating AI? So while we are planning lessons, or when we want to create innovative learning opportunities and we are running out of ideas, if we want to enable joyous learning in the classroom, making inclusive classes, differentiated learning or differentiated assessment, AI can come in as a very active tool, helpful tool, and also promoting 21st century skills. So let us take the first aspect as how planning engaging lessons can be done using AI platforms. So if you see, I have used one platform here, EduRite, and can we have the next slide, where we can see that there are different. Can we have the next slide, please? Yeah, here in this platform you can see there are various options given to the teacher as to you want to have engagement activities, you want to check prior knowledge, assessment for the lesson, or maybe a lesson plan. So there are very engaging activities that have been proposed by this platform. Though if you look at the social science textbooks, Exploring Society India and Beyond, which are from class 6 to 8 recently launched, there is a lot of student friendly activities that have been built within the textbooks itself. For example, Indus Valley Civilization has so many images, stories built around to connect the learners. But if teachers are looking for further exploratory activities, then these platforms can come in handy. For example, a blank map may be provided for mapping what was the extent of the Indus Valley Civilization, or there can be so many artifacts that can be generated using AI, which we think may be great, but how did it actually look like can be generated using AI, and so forth and so on. Can we have the next slide, please? So here again I have taken one more example for engagement activities in the Satavahana rule in class 7 social science textbooks. Previous slide, please. We have this Satavahan rule. So the age of reorganization, the chapter talks about how different dynasties and kingdoms were emerging and the states were being reorganized. So there are certain activities this AI is suggesting, though a lot of activities, again I would reiterate, have been given in the textbook itself, but again these engaging activities can be taken cognizance of by the teachers in order to make more interactive and activity centered classes, art integrated classes. Can we have the next slide, please? Now let us take an example. For example, when the chapter talks about the Gupta period, maybe a story can be created by the teacher that you're walking through a city filled with artists, scientists and teachers, music and poetry echo through bustling streets and grand universities. Students eagerly learn from wise scholars. Now, if we want to ignite the minds of the learners into critical thinking and analysis of why do we call a particular age as golden age, what are the various conditions required to create an environment where people are happy, where people are into cultural activities, where people are writing beautiful literary works. So what kind of an economy would require such people to flourish? maybe that would make learners think critically about why we are referring to a particular age as golden age. You need to have economic prosperity, you need to have freedom, you need to have liberty, you need to have finances, and so forth and so on. So such critical questions can be generated using the help of AI. Now, sometimes thinking in abstract in history becomes very difficult for our young learners, but it is really easy now with the help of AI to recreate those historical sites or historical characters. We can bring alive those historical characters using certain platform like Hummy, and those historical characters would interact with you. For example, you can talk to Ashoka, or you can talk to any other person that and with your questions that you have in mind. So this could be a very engaging learning activity for the student. Can we have the next slide? So like I was talking about digital recreation of historical sites. So this is Hampi, and it will just create a very concrete idea in the mind of the learners as to how it must have looked like. Besides, digital recreation is also a process, it's also a pedagogical process. Teachers can do it. There are a lot of digital recreations done on online available also. We can also ask our learners to make digital recreations of historical sites. Take for example the next image, next slide please. When we are teaching Ashoka and we are talking about edicts, we can ask students to give a prompt. Now, students need to give intelligent prompts, and they should be knowing the content also in order to create image. If we are giving a very simple prompt like create an image of Ashoka's Dhamma Mahamatras reading out the edicts, this is what would be generated. But if we refine and if we want a very nice image, we will have to again be giving very intelligent or researched prompts, I would say. So take for example the next edict, the next image please. Here the prompt is like people are gathered around, they are listening, and edict is on a trade route or it is in a marketplace. So this is the image that has been created, which is very different from and appears to be a little more realistic than the previous image. Now for example, if we want an edict which was located at a particular place, for example maybe Junagadh. Can we have the next slide? Then we will have to give related prompts. So the student needs to know that it was near the Sudarshan Lake, there was at the foothill of the Girnar, it was a maritime town, there were a lot of activities, and we can see if we have given the prompt, accordingly that image has been created. So where were the edicts built? Why were they built there? How did they look like? How must these edicts being placed at particular points led to the spread of the message, the moral and ethical principles that Ashok wanted to propagate? These are all questions that would deepen the understanding of the learners, and all these questions will come in their minds and the answers also when they are creating these images using AI tools. Can I have the next slide please? Here again, this is another edict, Ashoka's edict, which is at Dhauli. After the Kalinga War, the edict was was put up here, and you can see that this is an administrative center. It was a province, so you can see the prompt that has been given is reflecting how it must have looked like at that time. So the submission here is that if we want to make the learners go into that time period and experience how things must have been, the society, the social, cultural, architectural ways people must have interacted with, would be enabled using such digital creations. So again, it will be the teacher who will be the center, because it is the teacher who would be giving these creative ideas to the students to be looking for right prompts, to be researching, and therefore it will lead to deepening of understanding of the subject. Can we move on to the next slide please? Now 21st century skills is a very important component that National Education Policy 2020 is talking about. So when we want to have activities for enabling 21st century skills, that it can also be created using AI. For example, are we saying something? Sorry? So these are some of the activities that can be designed using AI, like, think if we want collaborative learning to happen, peer teamwork, leadership qualities to develop among the learners, then thinking, pairing and sharing maybe activities. These have been generated using various AI platforms. How must geography have influenced the Indus Valley civilization? And what would have the world done without zero? And how do you think Aryabhat what must have occurred in his mind when he was thinking about concepts like zero, or he must have come up with all these things. So such think, pair and share activities we can give a prompt to AI. It will give us a lot of ideas about planning group activities, group projects, role plays, and think and pair and share activities. Similarly, we can assess our students also differently by giving them different kind of tasks depending on each student's potential. So higher order thinking questions may be given to all those who are more interested, who are inquisitive, though it can be given as a general exercise, but maybe in order to make students comfortable, a choice may be given to pick and choose as to whoever wants to do whatever kind of assignments. So it is very easy using AI to develop or to ask AI to give us such a differentiated assessment, maybe for struggling learners, simplified worksheets, maybe learners who require, can we have the next slide please, visual learning support, maybe if we want paired learning activities. So AI can be very handy in designing all these assessment activities also. Besides, next slide please, there are a lot of advantages as far as extension activities are concerned. For example, students in their free time, on vacations, or they can be, as a flipped class, they can be given some extension activities of creating 3D models or writing fictional diaries. All these activities they do not have to do using AI, they have to use their own creativity. Teachers have to just plan these activities. We have to be very careful also that students also do not go to ChatGPT and produce all these answers for us. Maybe they can be given as a classroom activity also to bring out their creativity. Whereas remote learning adaptations could be maybe visiting virtual museums or digital artifacts, and the students themselves can give prompts and generate these different artifacts. So again, I would like to go back to what Jian has said and reiterate what he said, that teachers will be at the heart, or humans will be at the core of all kinds of learning, whether it is AI or whether it is AI enabled, ICT enabled, or just teacher-centered approach. The important thing is how beautifully we integrate into pedagogy the core of things or values that are essential today. That is critical thinking, empathy, compassion, mindfulness, 21st century skills like leadership, collaboration, communication skills, that will remain at the center of all the tools that we are using. So there are a lot of ethical considerations, like we were talking before also, that have to be kept in mind. That is mindful use of technology, so that it is not something that students are giving as assignments fished out from AI, but their own creativity is also brought about. So I think I would just halt there, submitting that it is teachers' creativity at the end of the day as to how beautifully they integrate AI into their teaching learning processes.
Exactly, ma'am. They have to integrate AI for making their teaching learning process more easy and engaging. As they say, history is a very dry subject, right? But AI can make history as much joyful like other subjects, right? Ma'am, not only for the interactive classes, I would rather say AI is more helpful for making class more inclusive, and for our special need children's, AI is very much helpful, right? So at the end of this session here, Jian sir, I'm requesting you to conclude this session, or what is your concluding remark, and what would you like to add something?
Thank you so much, Renuji. Fantastic presentation by Dr. Sangeeta. You've really elaborated so beautifully the importance of using technology, but mindfully and with the values and ethics that are core to education. I think to conclude, I would like to share that basically, we at UNESCO are very happy to know that about 58 countries are currently using the UNESCO AI Global Competency Frameworks for teachers and students. And we do not just look at it at the country level, but each one of you in your communities, in your schools, in your blocks or districts are also very welcome to use this guiding framework in the integration of AI into your teaching practices, into the teacher training programs. This is not something that we control as UNESCO, and we're so happy and proud to hear that many organizations in India as well have used this as a basis for their own teacher training frameworks or designs to help them manage and cope with the technological developments that AI is bringing to all of us. So on that note, I invite all of you to join UNESCO as part of on this journey to harnessing and leveraging AI mindfully, in a critical way, ethically, for the benefit of our future generations. And back to you, Renuji.
Thank you so very much, sir. Ma'am, Sangeeta ma'am, would you like to add something, ma'am?
Thank you, Jian. That was a wonderful presentation, and I would join hands in saying that yes, there's nothing to fear technology. AI is very interactive. It is very user-friendly. Even people with basic knowledge of computers can very easily handle it. And we have to be very careful when we are using AI, because like we said in the beginning of the presentation that to differentiate between fake and fact, to differentiate between what is presented cooked out, because like Jian sir said that AI also works on a model of algorithms, and it keeps on giving to us whatever it already has in store. So the ethical use and mindful use, along with using our own intelligence to differentiate and check the authenticity of the sources that it is giving. So I think if it is creatively used, it can enhance the entire teaching learning process and help us in giving holistic experience to the learners.
Definitely, and with this we are at the end of this session, but before that let me thank our eminent expert. Thank you so very much, Jian sir and Sangeeta ma'am. Thank you, sir, for your precious time. Thank you very much for this insightful session.
Namaskar.
Namaste, ma'am. And as our experts said,
thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Mindful use of AI and technology is very much important. That's why we bring this particular AI series for all educators out there. And we want you to participate in this series, and for that you need to register yourself. That is very much mandatory. And you need to fill a Google form at the description of this live interaction on our YouTube channels. You can go and fill that form. And on our social media handles, you can scan that QR code, and you need to fill that particular form for our this upcoming quiz and this series. And with that, me, Renu Bhatt, is taking your leave with my whole team. You stay tuned to PME with your channels for more informative programs. Namaskar.